So you've got extra money each month, whether that's a few hundred or even a few thousand. And then comes the common question, should I invest this or should I use it to pay down my mortgage? And surprise, not everyone has the same answer. There's two camps and both lean pretty heavily on whatever they decide. And I don't think that either one are wrong. It just depends on what your strategy is. But I'm going to tell you what I think as a mortgage advisor, as someone who does this every single day. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a CPA. I'm not going to be the person that's going to tell you where to take your money and invest it. Talk to your financial advisor for that, as that is their specialty. My specialty is to do with mortgages. So first, let's talk about investing. Now, taking your money and putting it into the S&P 500 historically has better returns than a mortgage. On average, the S&P 500 appreciates around 8 to 10% year over year. Now, if you have a 4 or a 6% mortgage and you're paying that off and you're missing out on the 8 to 10% investment return, you're leaving money on the table by paying that off. In addition, one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about is when your money is invested, it's liquid. You're able to access it if there was ever an emergency or some kind of financial burden that you needed to use. You can go and you could sell that stock, you could sell that bond or treasury, and you can access the money. Money that you put towards your mortgage, usually you can only tap into it by doing either a HELOC or a refinance, which require fees, time, and you're not near as liquid as you are if you were to invest the money. Now, the case for paying off your mortgage is it's a guaranteed rate of return. If your interest rate's 6% and you're paying it off, you're guaranteeing that your rate of return is 6%. It doesn't go up and down like the market, especially if you have a 30-year fixed. And I'm going to tell you something, even the S&P 500 has no guarantees where paying off a mortgage at, let's say, 6% is a guaranteed 6% rate of return. And take it from me, I've never had a client who's paid off their house call me and say, Cash, I regretted doing that. Now, a few factors that really can influence this decision. Number one is your interest rate. If you have a 2.75% interest rate, paying off your home as quickly as possible starts to make a lot less sense because that money is borrowed at a very cheap cost. Where if you invest that money, even if the market performs badly, you're usually getting net higher than that 2.75%. Next goes into your risk tolerance. If you can stomach ebbs and flows in the market, usually investing can be a little bit better. Paying off your mortgage is boring. You're throwing a few extra $100 here or there every single month and watching the balance come down. You're saving money on the interest, but there's no excitement. There's no thrills of, oh, I just made X amount of return this month. And there's also no pitfalls of saying, oh, I'm in the negative this month. It's average, it's consistent, and that's what people like about it. The next one is your stage of life. If you're 20 or 3 years out, paying off your home could not be as beneficial as it could be to put it into the market and letting that compound. And the next thing is, where's your emergency fund at? One of the problems with investing everything in your house is that you don't have access to it. It is not liquid. If there was something that was to happen, the only way to access your money would be doing a cash out refinance or a HELOC, which you have to qualify for. So let's say you paid off your house $200,000, you have all this equity, but then you lose your job. You can't qualify to get that $200,000 out. If you have that money invested in the stock market, you have access to it at any time. You can sell it and you can have that money for a rainy day. Now, here's the thing that I have a problem with when it comes to both of these arguments, and that is that there's a one-size-fits-all picture. The answer is often framed as just a one choice. I'm either going to pay off my mortgage or I'm going to invest. I can't do both. And honestly, that's why a lot of people freeze, because they can't make up their mind. So they let their money sit there, do nothing. They don't invest. They don't pay off their mortgage. They end up with a big balance sitting in their checking account, not earning them anything. And that's the worst thing that you can do. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you probably know where I'm going with this, but I have to mention it. We have a loan, and it's called the all-in-one loan, that kind of changes this entire concept on its head. And here's why it matters for this specific debate. What the all-in-one loan is it's a mortgage combined with a full sweep integrated checking account. So it's a way that you keep your money, stay liquid, but also pay off your mortgage quickly. It allows you to pay off your mortgage fast and invest at the same time. And really the power of this comes into that integrated checking account. So let's say, for example, you're an investor and you don't want to pay off your house quickly. Well, what happens to the money that you use to make your car payment, to go out to eat, and for all your expenses every single month? What does that do? Because I'm going to bet it sits in your checking account until you spend it. Now imagine this. You have an all-in-one loan and you're still investing in the market, but that extra money that you have that was sitting there for your car, for your rainy day fund, for all that stuff, well, every day it sits in your account, it actually sweeps over and pays down your mortgage. Now you have a rate of return on a mortgage and a rate of return on an investment. And now we're playing both sides of the coin, where now when you have a rainy day, not only do you have your investments, but you also have this nest egg of equity that you can tap into that exact same day. Attached to your house, you're going to have a debit card, checks, and bill pay like a traditional checking account. And if you're someone with positive cash flow, I have seen this loan help people save hundreds of thousands of dollars over the life of their mortgage, all while staying liquid. And there's another thing to think about, and I heard this the other day and it really changed my mind. Saving is non-taxable, but earning is taxable. Any income that is earned, Uncle Sam is going to want their piece. Saving money on an interest rate is a non-taxable return. Now let that sit for a while, because for the right person, that mindset can change everything. So if you want my honest opinion, I think people should do both. I think that you should pay off your house, you should have the rainy day funds and an emergency savings, and you should invest in the market, because a diversified plan is the safest way to go. And you can really structure your finances in a great way. Now, if you're curious about the all-in-one loan and how that would look for your situation, I'm going to put a link in the comments below where you can go run your own calculations, see if it works. And if you have any questions, I also have a link where you can go book a call. And for the investing portion, talk to your financial advisor. If you need a good financial advisor, reach out to me and I can get you connected to someone who's a good fit. And I'm curious, what do you think is more important? Let me know in the comments below. Should you invest or should you save?